goodness, look at those numbers. 3.4 mil. Ooh. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another build video, and today we're going to be going over Power Punch AMON. Sorry for the delay on this video. I've been farming a lot and also testing out so much on this build to make it work. So some of you might have seen the Swordmaster AMON build I posted a few weeks back. That build is dead. And the reason why is because they changed Groundbreaker, so no longer can we do that really cool interaction, because Groundbreaker no longer stacks on skill damage. So instead, through testing, I had to figure out a way to achieve a really big damage. And well, I found it. For the build, we are going to be using the Maliwan Tech we covered for a previous video. If you missed it, the TLDR is basically hold a Maliwan weapon and any damage you do through action skill damage, whatever damage over time. In this case, we are going to be using Raging Inferno, which is a really, really good skill. We'll get to that in a second. But with that being all fire damage, we want fire damage on a Maliwan, and that will spread a Transfuser. So when I get a kill, Raging Inferno will burn the enemy away, and then proc my Shotgun Fire Dot on enemies around other enemies after I kill the enemy. And then Synthesizer on top also gives me an extra 25% status effect damage. That applies to everything I do. This combo alone makes this a mobbing monster, like it is just ridiculous. Kill one enemy, everything around them just burns away and dies. If you want more information on this Maliwan trick, I will link my video in the description. It's more of a deep dive video. So for the rep kit, to achieve maximum damage, we are going to be using a Enrage and Hard Hitter. Now keep in mind, it doesn't have to be order, it could just be any manufacturer, or if you only get Hard Hitter, that's fine, or only Enrage, that's fine. But if you can find this on an order rep kit, that's the best go-to. Because for this build, mobbing is extremely simple, but bosses are a lot more involved, so we do want to achieve maximum damage we can. For Ordnance, no surprise, the Slippy, very, very good, very, very strong. For the most part, this grenade's just for activating one of my skills for Forge skill cooldown, and chipping away at a big boss shield bar. For a class mod, we are going to be using the Furnace with the most points in Raging Inferno, the green skill on the left side. For my role here, I did get melee damage on it, which is a nice little bonus, but just know it's additive. You know, you don't need it. It's not going to do like an insane amount more damage because of that. Just look for things like, you know, melee damage, skill crit damage, all damage dealt, any way to increase your damage. And as for the incendiary damage roll at the top, that is guaranteed on this class mod. You will always get that. As for the skill on the right side, I got Maiming Strike +2. It's not really doing anything for the build at all. Ideally, try to get +2 on Mortal Flare if you want to get the most out of the build, but it's not needed whatsoever. The main thing is just get the most points you can and Raging Inferno, the green skill. For the shield, believe it or not the what's for dinner. Crazy, I know. So with this interaction, you want to get the most shield you can. Order's going to have the highest shield capacity. You can see here I got Turtle on it for a lot more shield. I think second most might be Maliwan for shields. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that's a pretty big capacity. So be looking through all your shields, try to get the highest capacity you can achieve, and that will net you the most damage for this build. Finally, for the enhancement, like I covered earlier, we have Synthesizer and Transfuser. The main thing you want is Transfuser for spreading your status effects, so you can get this on a purple, you don't have to have a legendary version. And if you can't find that, Synthesizer at the top will give you an extra bit of status effect damage, which is quite nice for the melee. As for the passives, these are complete trash and are doing nothing for my build, but look for gun splash damage, you know, shotgun status effect damage, gun status effect damage, gun status effect chance, shotgun status effect chance too. Those rules will apply to the melee if you are holding your Maliwan shotgun. As for other gear, you can use the triple bypass with caffeine for a faster cooldown. So for the triple bypass, it doesn't matter what, you know, passive on it, just get the shortest cooldown so you can spam your action skill back up very fast. But it's not needed if you are doing mobbing because we are going to be using Pyroclast. For mobbing, I'm usually using this rep kit, and for bossing, I'm also only using this rep kit. As for the firmware, we are using 3 Action Fist and 2 Real Big Fist. That will give us a lot more melee damage and also a lot more melee and action skill damage. But you can see at the bottom there, on melee kill, we don't want that for bossing. We want to go for maximum damage. So I did make a copy of this shield and, you know, plaster on a different firmware, which is going to be Baker. So with Baker, we are going to get even more shield capacity, which means we're going to get bigger and harder melee hits. I will show that in the skill tree in a second, but basically the bigger the shield, the harder the hit. Moving on to the skill tree, we are going to put 5 points in the Gathering Storm. That's going to be more elemental damage when you get a kill, and it will stack 3 times for 45% element damage, not bad. And then we're going to have more crit damage here, and if we do melee, we're going to double that for 40% crit damage. Then we have Herald's Call for more shock damage, which we will be getting through Electrical Fire, which is going to be in the red tree. We'll get to that in a second. But the main bit of damage here is going to be from Raging Inferno. Action skill damage has a chance to critically hit. Additionally, critical hits from direct action skill damage apply Burn. Burn damage, 120% of damage dealt per second. Basically, we get the hardest punch we can, and then we achieve the biggest fire dot we can. Insane skill. For the most part, this is one of 2 skills that's going to do the heavy lifting for the build. Down here, we boosted Wild Heart because I had 3 points left over for the build, and that's going to increase our status effect damage, which will help with our massive burn damage. For the red tree, we are going to be using 5 on Discombobulate, so that's going to give us more melee crit chance, which will help us activate Raging Inferno for our big dots. And then here's the cool tech. So Heavy Plate, you can increase your maximum shield capacity. At first, it might seem like a boring skill, but if you look over here to Thermal Diffusion, at the very, very bottom, bonus damage, 20% of maximum shield capacity. Because we have a huge shield capacity and are boosting it up even more, we're getting 20% of 100k shield capacity. So instead of 7,245 rocket punch damage, we are getting an extra 20,000 on top of that. And it gets even better. Because we have so much shield, the shield regeneration from Onslaughter, you can see there 15%, is factored from our total shield capacity. Basically, an enemy could shoot us with a rocket, and we're just going to regen all of our shield back immediately. At the moment, there's no enemy in this game that can really punch through your shield. Even the explodey guys at the drill sites. Like, I'm not even joking, you are unkillable. How many times have you fish slapped yourself, you know, playing the game? Look at this. I did like, what, 10%, maybe 20% of my shield? You are a walking tank. Back to the skill tree, we have 1 point in Gut Punch for applying weakness, so we can do more damage to the enemies. You only need 1 point in this skill, don't waste more. And then we have 4 points into Tritanium Knuckles for more melee damage and skill damage. Now, if you want to, you can take a point out of Tritanium Knuckles and put it into Best Defense for Overshield if you do melee. But because we have so much shield, I never really, you know, need that. We're just not touchable. So I prefer to go for maximum damage. Down here, we have another major part of the build. So part 1 is going to be Raging Inferno for the massive fire damage over time. And then we have Catastrophe and Electrical Fire. So basically, I punch the enemy, I burn them, and because I burn them, you're going to shock them for a massive shock damage over time. And that shock damage over time is going to dip into Catastrophe for increasing your crit chance. So for your next melee punch, you're going to have a really high chance to crit them for big damage again. So this combo here is extremely strong and is a must-have for the build. I really wish we didn't have to grab these, but for the melee build to function, you do need this. So we do need to invest a lot of skill points into the right side. Down here, we have Crackling Aegis for more status effect damage, the fuller your shield is. So because we have a massive shield, we're always going to have that massive status effect damage for Raging Inferno. And then for 2 points to move down the tree, I put it in a Fist of Stone. If I do melee damage, I'm going to get my Forge skill cooldown. And for the Forge skill, we have Stormcutter. Now, Stormcutter is not really needed for the build because we're not really using it too much, mainly for getting our cooldown or prolonging our action skill duration. I wanted to achieve the most damage I could. If you want more Forge skill spam, you can take the points out of this and put it into a Fist of Stone for 5 out of 5, but for the most part, I'm not really using this for damage. So basically, you hold the action skill button down, and then you hit them with this, and it will give you action skill cooldown, action skill duration, and ordnance cooldown. It's a really good skill, but for this build, I'm pretty much only using it for action skill cooldown. As for when you're mobbing, you pretty much always want to use Pyroclast to keep your duration up. So when you kill an enemy while they're near you, you're going to get action skill duration. Remember, we're using that cool Maliwan Tech for killing enemies if they're near the enemy you kill. So if you kill one enemy and there's 4 enemies near that enemy, all 4 of those enemies are going to die from shock and fire damage over time. And because you're also near them, it's going to give you more action skill duration. Infinite uptime. As for bossing, you always want to go Thermal Diffusion for the massive melee hits. Now, the unfortunate thing about this skill, or sorry, this augment, is that you don't really have much uptime, so you need to be fast at, whittling down the boss. So you have 2 fire modes. You can do either Fiery Punch or you can do Cryo Punch. If you are hitting a health bar, use Fire Punch. If you're hitting an armor bar, use Cryo Punch. If you're hitting a shield bar, use Fire Punch. And at the bottom there, you can see 20% of maximum shield capacity for bonus damage, so that's going to be quite nice for big, chunky hits for the bosses. I'm going to be honest, the only weakness with this build is like big, beefy shield bars. So for normal mobs, like shield bars are not an issue, you can like burn right through them. But for bosses, you don't really have a good way to get through shield. The What's for Dinner isn't enough, the shock melee here is really weak. So the best way to achieve it is just to get the biggest fiery punch and then burn it away and use electrical fire to apply a decent shock damage on it. And for my class mod, we have Maiming Strike, but this is doing nothing for the build. I'm not shooting guns, we're doing pure melee for this. So this is quite useless. As for specialization, we are going to be using Best Defense for 30% damage dealt while full. Apparently this doubles, so you get 60% if you have full health and shield, which is quite nice from what I heard. And then over here we have I Am a Gun for action skill damage, gets 50% of your gun damage, which is quite nice. And then we have Hone Mind. This is a must-have for the build. Action skill crit chance and action skill crit damage. You want to have that. And then finally, bare arms for a little bit more gun damage, converting into melee damage, which is quite nice. But just keep in mind, you can trade this one out for caffeine if you want to have faster cooldown using the triple bypass. You can do that too. Anyways, that's it for the build, so let's go ahead and go show it off. Oh, that's cool. Huh, interesting. Dude, why do vendors give so many legendaries so often? Alright, so we made it over to a Ripper drill site, so make sure you're using the Pyroclast Augment for mobbing, because you need the uptime. And then from here, just fiery punch everything, and if you really want to, you get the standard enemies, and they will, like, burn away. Vampiric doesn't really matter, punch you. And because of our massive shield capacity, we're dipping that into our fiery punches. And then if they don't die from one shot, they will definitely die from the damage over time from Raging Inferno. And as you can see, for the most part, mobbing is pretty straightforward. Like, even the Fiery Storm, if they're near me, they'll just burn away. I'm not even punching, look at that. Our action skill damage is so juiced up with this build. It is, like, ridiculous. From here, mobbing's never going to be an issue, and everything's going to die pretty quick. Also, remember, we're using the cool Maliwan Tech to burn enemies away if they're near another enemy. But unfortunately for this mobbing example, there's no enemies nearby other enemies. So here's the bosses. I'm going to throw my Slippies just to have some starter damage. And now from here, you just have to burn through their armor if you're fighting these kind of guys. And they can be quite beefy, and it is a little bit RNG for this build. There we go, we got him with the crit. Because you are having a chance to hit the massive crit damage, so you just have to make sure you get lucky on that to burn through those. But after you do, the armor bar is gone, and they burn away. Alright, check this out. 3 enemies right here. I'm going to punch this guy, and then the Maliwan Tech's going to burn these guys away. Check this out. Boom. And they're dead, see? One more time here. Because I have fire damage on my Maliwan shotgun and transfuser on my enhancement, that is the reason why they are burning away. Anyways, let's show off a beefier boss. So let's go to, I guess, Radix. Show an example of a beefy shield bar for this build. Also remember, if you are low on duration for your action skill, use the forge skill, the Storm Cutter. You see there, I hit him and I got a lot of duration back. Don't forget about that. Okay, we made it to the boss, so we're going to squeeze out a little more damage by doing the Baker firmware for more shield capacity. That will translate to more fiery punch damage. And from here, we're going to swap from Pyroclast to Thermal Diffusion. So for the shield bar, we're going to be punching for fire damage, and then for the armor bar, we're going to punch for the cryo damage. So let's go ahead and do that now. So here he is. Juice ourselves up with our rep kit, activate the skill, and start punching. Now keep in mind, again, Raging Inferno crit chance is RNG based, so you need to get lucky on that. Okay, there's the armor. We're burning through pretty well, but let's start doing the cryo. Good punch there, and decent punch there, so boom, boss down. Because the duration for Thermal Diffusion is so short, make sure you use your Forge skill if you need more duration by hitting with that. It is a very nice tool to have. And now it's got me thinking about it. If you were to roll action skill duration on your furnace, that could be really nice for bossing. Thermal Diffusion's action skill time is so short. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the Unkillable Power Punch AMON build. This build is a lot of fun, and I recommend trying it out. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys for watching. Have an awesome day. If you haven't yet, hit that sub button on the way out. And I will see you guys in the next build video. Peace out.